Hello once again, good friends. Welcome new subscribers. I'm Brian from Apex Detail. Today we're going to get back to some products that'll help out you guys just starting out, just starting your own business, expanding basic services from cleanings to paint enhancements or one-steps. Or if you just want to start taking care of your own car, you picked up a car, it has some light swirls, or maybe you're putting love marks into it, you want to brighten it up a bit, you want to clear it up, you want to remove some of those minor imperfections. Well, I have something today that might take care of it. I'm going to show you how to use it. This is Meguiar's Solo. This is a cut and polish cream. We're going to break it down both on a car that needs correction and on a darker test panel so it's easier for you to see. I value your time as much as mine, so let's get started. Meguiar's M86 Solo Cut and Polish Cream. It's a one liquid system. They had body shop guys with rotaries in mind to take out wet sand marks, imperfections in paint, scratches, and so on. But I can tell you this does a heck of a job for the detailing community as well. You can get this size here for $29. You can get 1 gallon for $70. I'm going to show you how this works both with the rotary and also will team up well with the dual action polisher as well. Let's get to it. Working on a BMW X5 today. Yes, this is white. We will get to a darker panel when we jump to the test panel a little bit later on, but these lighter colors do need a little bit extra effort to get them to pop. The whites, the silvers, the champagnes, to get them to stand out a little bit. This one here also does have some swirling and scratches. We're going to take care of that as well. And we're going to use the rotary on this here. Then when we get to the test panel, we'll use the DA. Even though it was formulated with the rotary in mind, it does work very well with the DA as well. And that would be great news for those just starting out, not used to a dual action polisher. The Solo was formulated as one product to grab off your shelf if you're having problems with, you need to denib or you need to do some wet sanding, or you have some imperfections before you send the car out or as you're prepping the car, and taking the guesswork out of it. That's what they formulated it for, and I find it very successful in the detailing industry as well. All right, before we get started, we're going to take a few measurements. We're going to work in this area right here, and when it comes to gloss, at the moment it's lacking. We'll get a couple different areas here. Low to mid 80s. There's a high spot there. But for the most part, low to mid 80s. Okay, let's get to work on this area, and we're going to slam that gloss meter up against and really top it out with a few passes of the Meguiar's Solo. Okay, as intended with the rotary, this compound here was meant as a do-it-all. Really a cutting compound, also to finish down and everything in between. So let's make that, let's take that first step. And do our cutting. Spread it out, and then we're going to go to our third speed setting. As you can see, correction speed, proper correction speed, 1 inch every second or two. I'm not trying to mow anything down. I just want a nice, even cut. Crisscross pattern, left to right, then I'll go up and down. That will consummate 2 passes. Okay, that's going to be the entirety of the cutting portion of the correction with the same polisher and the same compound / polish, the Solo. We're going to swap out pads, we're going to wipe off the residue, and we're going to come back in with a different pad and finish. Okay, once again, using the Solo, same polisher, we just switched to a reticulated white foam polishing pad. This is down on the lower end of the scale towards the softer pads. Perfect airflow through the foam to keep the surface temperature down. 3 pea-sized drops, and away we will go. Okay, once again, crisscross pattern. I'm going to go up, down, then left and right. Hardly any pressure. I'm just going to guide the polisher. Let the polishers do the work. If you're worn out after a correction, you're doing it all wrong. Keep the speed between 3, 3.5. Okay, let's get rid of the residue. We'll take some measurements. We're brightening up the white, bringing out clarity, gloss. With one polish system, one polisher, 2 pads. Okay, get some measurements now. We started out in the mid-80s. We've now launched into the mid-90s. And there you go. Swirls are gone. Nice and bright, nice and clear, nice and shiny. You can add your protection and away you go. All done with one polishing system, one polisher. And yes, the rotary will cut. In fact, it is a scalpel and great to have in your arsenal for that fact. But it will also finish down, and once you get some time behind that polisher, you'll find that the rotary can actually finish better than a dual action polisher. And I'll tell you what, in the next video, I'm going to show you how to burnish or how to jewel with the rotary. Let's move on to the dark test panel. That way you guys can see the change in aesthetics. We're going to take this corner over here. You can see the panel is hammered. It's heavily swirled. It's not very clear. It's dull. It's hazy. And we're going to mask off a section. We're going to use the dual action polisher and show you that the product, although formulated for the rotary, also does play well with the dual action polisher if you have the right pad attached. So in this area we're going to attach the Eurofiber 5050 pad. Let me mask off a spot and let's get to it. Okay, now with the dual action polisher and a Eurofiber 5050 pad, and that means there's 50% cutting fibers, 50% polishing fibers, and when you team it up with the Meguiar Solo, well, let's find out right now what you're going to get. Okay, now that we have the product spread out, it's going to be correction speed, 1 inch every second or two. We're going to let the weight of the polisher itself at 6 1/4 pounds be the pressure downforce on top of the polisher. So that way we're just going to guide it back and forth with our hands here. We're going to do a crisscross pattern and see what we get with just that. Okay, for those just starting out, leave the polisher on the surface when you shut off the polisher until the rotation stops and the oscillation stops. It's so much easier on your polisher and the pads as well. So let me remove the residue. That was a crisscross pattern, which is equivalent to 2 passes. You want to keep the polisher speed at 3, 3.5. I know there's a lot of guys out there that like to rev that polisher up and do quick motions. I do not like the mow down method unless I'm trying to remove old waxes and sealants that were left behind. Other than that, it's going to be light pressure, low speed, correction arm movement, and I get a nice even cut all the way across the section that I'm working on. You can never ensure a nice even cut when you're doing the fast mow down method with the polisher at high speed, and you're just revving up the temperature, ramping up the temps in this area where the rest of the hood is room temperature. That is a heck of a lot of stress for the clear coat in one section. You have distortion from the heat expanding all 3 layers, base coat, clear coat, and primer coat, and it's all happening in one spot. Keep the temperatures down. All right, let's remove the residue. Let's remove the tape. Now, before I grab the camera and bring you guys in, just keep in mind, all we were going for here was a one-step, a paint enhancement. And you'll see a huge improvement, and that's what I call enhancement right there. That is honey for the money, and just with the crisscross pattern, one step, with the Meguiar Solo and the Eurofiber 50/50 pad, that is a winner. Not perfect, we weren't expecting it to be, but most customers would be ecstatic to get their car back looking like that. Put some protection on there, and you're good to go. And just real quick before we end the video, let's put some numbers behind the work we just did. We went from a 91 to a 94 in just that short a time. Just real quick, I drug this around back where I keep the rest of my panels, and with the sun directly beating down on it, really gives you an indication, you know, what that can do. And as you come and look at it straight on, you can see makes the panel deeper, darker, richer. and does a great job with the swirls. The Meguiar's Solo cut and polish cream, $29.95 for 32 ounces. A gallon will run you $70. You can get a lot of cars done with that, so the price does work out in the end. And when you're just doing paint enhancements or a one-step, you're not going to use a lot of it. So this will last you a long time. The price doesn't bother me whatsoever. When it comes to performance, the video speaks for itself there. It does well. It was formulated for the rotary polisher. However, I just showed you there. It does also play nice with the dual action polisher and teams up very well with the Eurofiber 5050 pad. That pad remains one of my favorites when it comes to quick one-steps enhancements or just removing some light blemishes. If you have any questions, don't hesitate. Brian from Apex Detail. I'll catch you in the next video.